Yeah, with good guitar player, left California looking for work. We got to Bisbee, there were 5 gigs there. We were there 3 months, we played every single place at least once, sometimes 3 or 4 times. Then every time we went to California, we played on the way out, and we played on the way back. So I know the people in Bisbee twice as well as I know the people going up the coast, because we'd always play there twice. And so all of this builds community, and
So
you
you're
gotta have community to keep the music
I
moving
loved how
forward.
you pulled the musicians back into your band when you would come to Bisbee and do a gig.
Big
They'd be
reunion.
like, hey, come on down here. You're gonna play the lead guitar. You bring your harmonica.
Yeah.
You're gonna
And so-
play the drums.
DC's using his name, right? He's got
Well, he,
a reputation, right? I mean,
oh yeah, well DC was the real deal, and
yeah.
people
So
knew it.
With
if
that
you-
you can go places and build community, draw people.
Yeah, but
It's-
that's not what got us into the jam sessions. We
Okay,
just
that's
go
what-
to the jam sessions.
Oh, you
but
went
the
to
thing
jams,
is, the
okay.
musicians recognize that here we are all the way from Oklahoma, like totally indie. You know, no agency, nobody,
Right.
just the two
just
of
you
us.
guys.
And
Just doing
the
the
music was good, and they got to be part of it. And the beauty of it was this: okay, we play, everybody comes. A year later, we call them up. We call Scott and say, "Come play guitar with us." We call, see the name.
Scott, come and play the
drummer.
harmonica with us.
Yeah, and then the drummer, Panther. What's his name?
Sam Panther.
Sam. And by the time you call the local musicians and say, we're going to play Elmo's, they say, oh no, Elmo's is dead right now. Call this one, call
Right.
that one. They tell us all the news. And we get booked in this place, and we're bringing local musicians in. Guess
Yeah.
what? We show up to the gig, the place is packed.
Right.
Because all
right.
these local musicians need a witness that they actually played with DC.
Right,
See what I'm
right,
saying?
right,
So
gotcha.
then it's a win-win-win all the way around.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying?
This is an interesting story to me. It's valuable because I've been doing some of this traveling.
Yeah, I
And
know.
when I was here 3 years ago, that's what I was doing. I'm planting seeds. You know, I'm playing. I met Harold Aldridge. I got to go
Right.
have
You
the-
knew
I-
it was a
I-
place you were going
I
to come
went-
back to,
I went-
probably.
I mean, you never know, but
Yeah,
I guess
that
that's
would be worth the trip
right.
to come back.
I mean, I'm connecting with Homer Johnson,
Right.
and you. I had lunch with Harold, Dr. Aldridge one day. You know, I've made it a point to spend. You know, and
Oh, yeah.
he was so gracious to hang out one day. It was just beautiful.
He has a
And-
book,
Is that right?
This is his
He's got a book.
800-page book about teaching in the black schools during segregation and desegregation.
Oh wow. Okay.
It just came out.
Oh,
It
right.
just came out.
Excellent.
Harold put all
He's got
his money
such a
in this.
broad work. He has this
Oh,
really
yes.
expansive work. He's this country blues man, and then he was
He is
also
the
taught at
Renaissance
Tahlequah.
man.
Right.
He's got a
I
black
was
belt.
just-
He trained
Oh
walking
my,
horses.
right. Just what you talk about practice. I mean, he's got a lot of practice.
Yeah.
A deep practice.
Yeah.
So yes, I was here 3 years ago. Came back here, and then I was just getting to sit at that table with Homer and Dr. Aldridge, just kind of
Out
there
on the deck,
with,
probably.
oh my God, it was just so,
Yeah.
just feeling that strength, and just realizing how the music brings us together, right?
Yeah,
It's just beautiful. I love hearing this. I'm a fan of what you got going here, and I'm so grateful
And
that you
I'm
took the
very
time to
grateful
sit
that
to
you-
speak to us today.
No problem, and I'm glad that you're back, and it's great to see you, and I know that you put a lot of time and work into your music. I can hear it.
That means a lot, Selby. Thank you.
You're
yes,
welcome.
I'm grateful.
You're welcome.
I'm grateful that you can hear
Absolutely.
that. Yes, it is.
Yeah, and this man's making leaps and bounds
Oh,
too,
I've-
because
I've
he
been
really
bragging on him all night.
envisioned himself a bass player, but he played guitar all the time.
Yeah. He's
you
got
know,
a huge
and
heart.
now he's
got this heart to serve. I mean, like he really
Got
has
a
a heart
nice
for
touch.
community. You know, I mean,
Yes.
yes. I mean, he's a musician, right? There's all
Yeah.
that. There's the musicianship, and then there's
That's
this
where
thing.
Yamaha and I line up. Is that
Yes.
we both like people in community and
Right.
know that this is possible for it
He's-
to be win-win-win.
He said to
Period.
me
End
that you
story.
have kind of
No
like this
problem.
idea about bringing music to like the homeless, serving.
Oh yeah,
This is
that's
what
no.
the
I might get
homeless-
political on that one. I might get political.
Well,
But
what I wanted to
4.2
connect-
million
Okay.
children face homeless in America every day.
Okay.
4.2 million. I just
4.2
learned
million
when children
homeless
in
children.
America face homelessness every. I learned that statistic when I went over and played in Clarksdale at the Juke Joint Festival. There was a billboard on the way in there in Mississippi, and my brother was almost homeless. I mean, he's mentally ill, and when you live in a van, you see, and we always had a place to come back to.
Right.
But a lot of people living in cars that are working.
Yeah.
And this is my point. They always blame the homelessness on California. They blame it on New Orleans. They blame it on the South. Well, in fact, homeless people are not stupid, and we do know that they realize if they spend the night outside in Wyoming, in Montana, or North Dakota, they will freeze to death.
Yeah.
So, in fact, this is not a state issue.
Right.
It's a national issue. And I would
Yeah,
like to see
absolutely.
national funding. And I know when I was in art school at Rhode Island School of Design, there's an architecture department, and one of their assignments in that department was to design low-cost housing. And that was I'm not going to tell you when. 60s, 70s. You know what I mean? So the low-income housing has been available, but we need, and I'll tell you how I know this can happen, because breast cancer. I was in the Bay Area when breast cancer was discovered to be the #1 killer of women. Okay, we already knew heart disease was killing men. Well, they'd spent millions and millions and millions of dollars, federal money, on research for heart disease. When they found out that it was breast cancer was killing women, there was no money. Well, the women got kind of upset. And do you want to know what they did to change that? Why all these football players are walking around with little pink rags, coming out of their pockets because they love their women and they believe in breast cancer research,
Yeah.
where that pink stuff started. They didn't put it on the news. Okay, San Francisco, jobs, money, high rise, 3 bridges to get into town, 3 bridges. So every morning at about 7 a.m., the helicopter with the big camera was shooting the pictures into your TV room of whether it was stop and go or stop and slow or, parking lot. All of that was being little helicopters over the bridges every morning at 7:30 a.m. with big cameras taking pictures of traffic and saying, well, if you're in Milpitas, you need to leave 40 minutes early. If you're in Hayward, 20 minutes early. Okay, every day. So everybody's watching the bridge. Well, some very courageous people got it together to get really big signs that said $0 for breast cancer research, millions of dollars for heart research. March out onto the bridge, hold the signs up, and stop traffic. Oh my God, stopping traffic in San Francisco and holding the bridge.
That's a big
That's
deal.
news.
Yeah, that's a
And
big
then when
deal.
the cops dragged him off, that was even bigger news. These women are getting dragged off the bridge. And they
Right.
did it several times. And
Action. There does come a point where some kind of action has to be
yeah,
taken.
well, see, now I'm talking politics. Here I am. I'm saying I try to separate my politics from my music.
Well,
and
but
I'm guilty as can be.
we're just right. There's that place where what I hear you talking about is they're about action. Taking
Well,
some
yes,
kind of action.
nonviolent.
Nonviolent action.
Yeah, Martin Luther King.
Right.
He wrote the
because
book.
it does. At some point, we have to put ourselves where we know we need to be.
Yeah, there was a
knowing
black
that-
guy that died not too long ago who said you have to be an inconvenience.
Right. At some point, right, we
Yes,
have
and
to
I
be a
forgot his
bother.
nickname. Yes.
I do not have a physical address. Right, so I've been working with how difficult it is to move about in this world. How Omaha is
Oh,
like
man.
a voluntary, like
Travel is
you-
rough.
Oh,
we-
listen,
it's
yes,
it's
I
an
know.
interesting journey.
If you don't
right?
have a credit card and you don't have an address and you don't have a place to take a shower,
Life
it's
is
a
very
long
different. Right, it's
haul back up to.
yes, right, and,
Yes.
and there yes, it's an interesting journey. Right, there's a lot
And
to
some
it.
people can do it, and some people really can't. 55%, I think, of the
Well, there's a reason why we're
homeless
here,
are
isn't
mentally
there?
ill, and 55% of people in jail are mentally, and 70% of the people that are homeless are mentally ill. I mean, when they got turned out of the insane asylums back in when was that? When
80s.
Reagan was in.
There are
Okay.
those of us who find it very difficult to function.
Well, some people
within-
can't do it.
Right.
Now, some people
Yes.
can.
Right.
If you're resourceful
Right.
and you have any kind of connections and you didn't get broken as a child or you're not mentally ill, the chances of you pulling back up out of that are not too bad.
One of my role
That's
role
not-
models right now is Woody Guthrie. Like he
Oh,
had this
yeah.
traumatic experience,
Brother
and he
King's
used his intelligence,
paradigm.
and he got behind the cause. Right. He was in this situation. He's like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to start singing for the cause.
Well, he's
which
the
was-
common man.
Right. Exactly.
Yes.
He started singing with the voice of the common man.
Yes, he
and,
did.
and that it got him community. It was a as far as like is like good ways to be in this world. Anyway, he's kind
Well,
of
I
one
was
of my.
singing Woody Guthrie songs when I ran into D.C.
Is that right?
Oh,
yeah.
yeah. Yeah, yeah,
There's
sure was.
an
All they
interesting
will call
story
you
about This Land Is Your Land. What
Banks in California, and if you ain't got the do re mi, I sang all that stuff.
you sang?
Oh yeah.
This
very
land is your
political.
land. This land is my land. That song was put into school children's books.
Right.
And that's how it came into our consciousness. But then the extra verses weren't put in there that you
Oh,
can
right.
look at now. So it's almost like it's really kind of this subversive message that
Oh well,
was.
Woody was very radical.
Yes, they say he was more he was too radical for the people in the East. Even by the time he got
I'll
there.
tell you the story on how radical Woody was. Okay, we started our festival, and the people from Okima, where Woody's from, would come to the festival every year, and they loved it. And DC would say, you got a bigger festival you can do with Woody Guthrie. He's way more famous than we are. If you ever get a festival over there in Okima,
And that's
it'll
what they
be
did.
bigger. They, you know what they said? We have to wait for certain people to die.
Oh.
Because Woody was a communist. And there was some people in Okima still alive. That did not fly. That did not fly at all.
Right.
So once
right.
those people died, they started that festival and it's still going.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, he was Grapes of Wrath and Woody Guthrie and all of that.
Yeah.
The story of the settlement of this country.
He's an inspiration for me right now because I'm
tremendous.
It's like there's this strength that we can. I mean, they say a lot of people say he wasn't really pleasant to be around a lot of times. I mean, there were
Well,
quite
he
a few
was
people.
funny though. I read his book. Did you ever read his
Yeah.
book, Bound for Glory?
No, I haven't.
Get the book. Get the book. There are cartoons in there and everything.
Oh, cool.
When he was a little boy, he delivered papers in Okima, which was an oil boom town, and he was in every bar. When he was this big, delivering papers,
Okay.
he has stories to tell,
Cool,
and
yeah.
he does.
I love to hear him talk.
sketches.
When you listen to his
Yeah.
recorded stuff, he's really interesting
Bound
to
for
listen
Glory.
to. Bound for Glory.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, that's a great one.
Selby, thank you for doing this
My
interview with me. I
pleasure. My
appreciate it.
pleasure.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for being yourselves, being who you are, believing what you believe in, and playing some music and having a wonderful radio show all these years, 16 years in
Yes.
Bisbee. Tell us the call letters again.
www.kbrpradio.com.
And your show is also on the internet, and it's called Comfort and Joy.
Show.
And you air on Sundays.
Sunday morning at 9 a.m. is live, and then it's rebroadcast Tuesday evening at 7 p.m.
Cool. And I remember when I met you, you were the little bartender that loved the music and danced to all the songs and helped us find the next gigs. And then when we came back to town a few years later, you got us on your radio with our new CD and played it for us for your audience. And thank you again.
Awesome.
I love to play local music or independent, and I look forward to getting us digital music.
I know.
We can make that happen. We're gonna have to record some tracks together.
Okay, I'm going to give
Yes,
you
I
guys
agree.
a CD of the guy